Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. It's Duncan here with the Firebelly Social Show. Arnell's taking a break today, so you got me, and we're focused on talking to the founders of food and beverage brands, especially ones that are mission-based and they're making the world a better place. Today, we've got a great show lined up for you with the founder and CEO of Ra Natural Beverages. It's a unique and innovative brand, and they're making a huge difference in the world. And I'm so excited about that. But before we get into that, let me say the episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-driven food and beverage brands bring people closer together with their social media. So if you're ready to use social media to create a community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, we're here to help you, firebellymarketing.com. Having said that, welcome, my man. Great to have you on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Duncan. It's good to be here.
So great to have you. And let me say, you are doing some amazing things. You've created this global, small but powerful global organization. Tell us about what you're doing with Ra.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, really, what Ra is an international supply chain. I was a chef for many years, and really the cornerstone of what I learned to do well was to find the best ingredients. And so this is really an extension of that. Our current offering is a Nam Ham coconut water from the Gulf of Thailand. And so we're really focused on natural drinks with natural functionality. In this case, coconut water being sort of the oldest hydration source known to man. So we're really focusing on how do we deliver the best quality coconut water. For right now, we have a lot of other things in the pipeline.
That's amazing that coconuts, have probably been thought of as a luxury drink for thousands of years. And I am a huge believer in coconut water, for all its properties, and you're the man to talk about it. But also, what an experience to have a fresh coconut. Indeed.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, you and I have talked offline a lot about just the prevalence of coconuts in Asia, all throughout Southeast Asia, throughout India, and there's coconuts, different varieties all over the world. They have different tastes and kind of different nutrition profiles. And something unique about what we're working on is the Nam Ham coconut is grown out of a specific type of soil in the Gulf of Thailand that actually it's kind of brackish water where the seawater meets the fresh water, and so because of that it creates a higher salinity in the soil, and it makes the coconut water taste uniquely sweet. So that's kind of how we're honed in on Thailand specifically, but coconuts throughout Asia and throughout the world have been used since the beginning of time as a source of life, as a source of sustenance and hydration. So now when we fast forward to a lot of what we see in, kind of the typical sports drinks, most of the sports drinks, I won't mention any by name, but really what they're doing is they're trying to reverse engineer coconut water by adding in kind of the electrolytes in the form of trace minerals, whereas coconut water has had these things and it's been here. Like I said, it's been here for a million years. So it's an interesting kind of process for us to really hone in on something so simple. And what we do is we pay more attention to kind of the husbandry of the ingredients, making sure that we're delivering it in its natural form, as opposed to, I think, what most companies are doing, which is to deliver it in a shelf-stable form, which really destroys all the nutrient value and the taste.
I mean, it's a wicked game when you're focused on shelf stability above all, right? I mean, it is, yeah. I understand why it's an important thing to do, but as you say, if it's me, I want the functional benefits without a bunch of engineering.
I agree. Yeah, I want the functional benefits. I want the taste. Just feels better knowing that something hasn't been sitting around, um, especially uh, in an ambient room on the shelf. Um, problems can exist that way, and it certainly it just for us it's really just a kind of a pragmatic question about, we have this saying, sort of ask yourself, should coconut water be shelf stable, right? Should coconut water be boiled before it goes into the bottle? We think that in terms of the delicacy and just the kind of the beauty of what the coconut water is in nature should be preserved as best as possible and delivered to the customer, which is really where our niche is focused right now.
I mean, let me tell you, I had no clue that coconut water is boiled by anybody. And, sorry for being so inelegant, but that is fucked up. I mean, who wants to think of drinking boiled coconut water? It's bad enough that you have to drink boiled water, when you're visiting certain countries. It's a necessary evil. But there was a thing that people used to say back in the day, right? That what's the 4-letter word in tequila? It's shot, right? Because the shot ruins the concept of tequila for so many people because they think of the cheap drink, they drank in college with the lime. And I feel like there's so much damn bad coconut water out there, and whether it's because of the price point that they're at, or it's just like a certain segment of the market wants or is okay with shitty coconut water. But I love the fact that you're saying, you know what, not only are we going to bring coconut water in its pure form to you, but we're also going to bring you the best damn coconut water there is. And I know you've traveled the world to source this. And how'd you end up on Thailand? Tell us, get deeper into that. I know people.
Sure. Yeah. No, it was first time I went to Asia. I think I've been to Asia, I don't know, maybe 20 times now. But I think the first time I went there was when I was working. I was working as a personal chef for a family, and they had a lot of business that they were doing over in China specifically. And so part of my job was to travel throughout. I think there was 12 different countries that I would go, and I would take cooking classes with chefs over there, and I would just learn about the culture and the cuisine so that I was better prepared to kind of steward these guests while they were in town. And so my area of emphasis was always, how do I understand kind of the tendencies of the local chefs in Asia? And it was always, well, this is what you get at the market. This is what's here. This is what's local. And in America, we sort of have had to kind of create this whole renaissance around farm to table cooking. But in Asia, it's just the way of life. And so I think that kind of this philosophy of getting closer to nature was something that was really, for me, was discovered there. And then also understanding that, not only coconuts, but I mean, not all carrots taste the same. Not all strawberries taste the same. There's different varieties of many different food ingredients. And so it was really about learning, okay, well, when we look at coconut, okay, well, first question is, how many types of coconuts are there? What are the different types of coconuts? What are they used for? I mean, if we're speaking specifically about coconut, some coconuts are harvested for their coconut water, the young coconuts. The older coconuts are harvested for the meat, right? There's coconuts that grow on trees that are tall, and there's coconuts that grow on trees that are short, and they're all used for different purposes. Some of them they make oil, some of them they make wine, some of them they make charcoal out of the coconut shells. And so it's really just about getting to a place and learning as much as I can just by asking questions. So I would say that was really the basis of it, was just my inquisitiveness to wanting to just know where the best quality was.
What a wonderful description. And I can clearly see your passion for food, because it's not just creative and looking for that best flavor profile, but you're also essentially have curated, as you said, an international supply chain. It's like, where am I going to find what I need, and how do I do it, and where am I taking it? What a wonderful job as a CEO you've done with that, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
How does, and I know that as part of your mission, not just developing strong relationships, but you've also got some really amazing things going on with recycling and beaches. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we partner with a company called Plastic Bank. And really, Plastic Bank deserves the credit here. What Plastic Bank is doing is they're working with, we partner with them specifically for some of their objectives in Thailand, but they're in a number of countries. And what they do is they organize beach cleanups and waterway cleanups with the local people. And the local people come, they kind of pick up their plastic, they turn it into the operators, and then they're paid, a per kilo fee for the amount of plastic that they pick up. And as a result, the local people are being compensated for cleaning up their own beaches and waterways. They also have a program where they take all of that harvested material and they melt it down and make plastic beads out of it, that you can then take this recycled plastic and use that to make new plastics. And it's our strong opinion that using recycled plastics for food and beverage products is not what we choose to do, because there's a lot of research out there that demonstrates that could be potentially harmful. But we do feel that the best that we can absolutely do to offset the usage of plastic is to work with Plastic Bank, and for every bottle we sell, 1.5 bottles are removed from the environment. And this is actually a key point, because a lot of people ask us about plastic and kind of hammer us about plastic. Why are we using plastic? Well, plastic is the only material that you can use a high pressure process. So we were talking earlier about how coconut water is often boiled, and for that matter, pasteurization. The term pasteurization, I mean, milk is pasteurized, apple juice is pasteurized, orange juice is pasteurized, coconut water is often pasteurized. And all that means is basically it's put it into a process of, essentially it's being boiled. It's being, the temperature is brought up to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, so that all the potentially harmful bacteria is basically neutralized. But that harmful bacteria is often kind of the substrate of what makes something healthy and good for humans. I mean, take raw milk is the perfect example. Like, we should be drinking raw milk, but instead we drink pasteurized milk, and so it's therefore sort of devoid of any kind of probiotic, good quality probiotic bacteria. And so in the case of coconut water, we choose to use a high pressure process which retains the nutrition value exactly as it came out of the coconut, as well as the taste. And the only way that we can use that method of heatless pasteurization or heatless processing is by using plastic. So it's a necessary trade-off, and it's something that Plastic Bank is really our key partner right now. And I think what we're looking at in the future is, what other causes can we embark on to create more beauty in our natural environment. And so the restoration of the environment, of the Amazon rainforest, these are some of the causes that I think that we care about. And over time, as we scale, we'll care about a lot. We'll begin to, put our dollars into Amazon reforestation, into the healing and the preservation of the natural world.
I just love that this is just amazing language. I mean, and the points are beautiful. And I let me ask kind of a self-confessedly dumb question. Is pasteurization, coming from someone who has consumed easily in the low thousands of fresh coconuts in my life, on the streets of Calcutta. Okay, so who knows how long they've been tied to that bicycle, but I've done it. Is pasteurization, and I survived, is pasteurization a solution without a problem these days?
Is it a solution without a problem?
I mean, when pasteurization came about, right, with Louis Pasteur, I suppose, in the 1800s, it's like there was a lot, like the hygiene around food prep was very different, right? So it's like, but I mean, today with the amount of hygiene with every step of the supply chain, I mean, it's a rhetorical question, I guess.
Yeah, it's constructive because so if you harvest a coconut that has not been so a coconut is a hermetically sealed object, right? So the moment you open it and air is introduced, the microbes and the sugars can begin to start converting into alcohol, or the sugars will start converting into they'll start fermenting. So what pasteurization effectively does is stop the fermentation process. Because if you just sent, for example, if you send a whole coconut from Calcutta to LA on a container, by the time it gets there, it will have had enough time to effectively cook inside of the coconut, and by the time you open up that coconut, you'll have vinegar, right? In the case of pasteurizing, the reason that they're pasteurizing is so that all of those sugars and kind of the phytochemicals are effectively neutralized, and so they won't turn into vinegar, right? And what high pressure does is it doesn't. I'm using kind of loose language here, but think of it rather than killing the bacteria, it puts it to sleep. So a method of high pressure actually puts, so the bottles, after everything gets bottled, goes from the coconut into the bottle, and then goes through a process into what's called the HPP machine, and then everything goes into a hyperbaric chamber, and it's pressurized to, I believe, 600 bar. And so in the pressure chamber, basically all the potential for bacteria is put to sleep effectively, and it will stay that way for effectively 90 days. And so the moment after it comes out of the HPP machine, we put it in the freezer, so which will kind of arrest any further development of microbes. So the best possible way to deliver freshness would be HPP and then frozen, and it stays frozen until we ship it to the customer.
That's amazing. So even the process is carefully thought through from the cold. I believe it's cold filtered. That's really amazing. Clearly innovation is like a big part of what you do.
Yeah. Innovation on the manufacturing side, as well as we're paying close attention to things like just kind of functional nutrition principles, right? Understanding, for example, I mean, like we have a product that we're working on, which is a turmeric based product that we'll probably release, I think, March, April, May, sometime next year. And just the understandings of how to, for example, I mean, everybody kind of knows about you add black pepper to turmeric, and that makes the phytochemicals a little bit more bioavailable by about 2,000%. So we look at information like that, and then we say, okay, well, bromelain from the pineapple can also add to that bioavailability. So we're formulating our recipes with kind of first and foremost with functional nutrition principles in mind, and then number two, as a means of retaining all of those functional nutrition principles, how can we manufacture that product so that we don't destroy it in the process, right? And then from there, my interest as a chef is how do we make it taste good, right? So it's really the things that we're optimizing for always with everything that we do are going to be, does it taste good? Does it do what it says that it does? Do you feel a difference after you drink it? And have we done the best we can to get it to the customer as close to its natural state as possible?
Does it taste good? Does it feel good? And have we gotten it to the customer in as close to its natural form?
Correct. Yeah.
Not
In other words, yeah, have we done the absolute best that we can to deliver the product as closely to nature as possible? Because that experience, nothing will replace that experience of drinking the coconut in Calcutta, right, on the side of the road, hacking it open. Nothing is going to replace that. But we want to deliver a close second.
And what I just have to say this, but when they with that cookery or whatever big knife they're using, they cut off the top, and it doesn't matter how hot it is outside. It doesn't matter how hot the damn coconut is. When you taste that water, it is so incredibly refreshing. So you mentioned, I want to go back. You mentioned like pineapple and the bromelain from pineapple, optimizing that with the turmeric. Where is your search for pineapple taking you these days?
Oh yeah. We're heading to Sri Lanka. Yeah, we found a really, really, really incredible pineapple juice from Sri Lanka. Actually, it's a pineapple puree, so it has all the fiber still in it. And so, like, for example, this is kind of just how our process would work, right? So we'll have a product idea, and we'll say, okay, we have my partners over in Thailand are turmeric farmers, and even in that, I mean, we zoom all the way in on the turmeric. Okay, what type of what turmeric variety are we growing? Is it consistent with the kind of the geographic patterns of Thailand? Is it going to grow well over there? I know that, like, for example, a lot of the turmeric on the market right now is coming from Fiji, and some of it comes from Hawaii. Well, the product coming from Hawaii is very high quality, but you'll see it for $22 a pound at the market. And a lot of the manufacturers that are using turmeric right now are using so little of it because of the cost, and then they're cold pressing it, which is good, but it's not capturing all of the phytochemicals that are bound up in all of the fiber, right? Curcumin is about. Curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric, and the curcuminoids are often weaved into the fibrous elements of the turmeric. And so we make a puree so that we capture 100% of the product, and we add pineapple and black pepper extract, and we make a puree first, and then we add other ingredients to that to make a formulation, if that makes sense, as opposed to cold pressing and mixing. We're actually starting kind of from first principles on every recipe that we have. So that might take us on, okay, well, if we're going to add pineapple, because we need a certain pH in order to lock in the color of the turmeric, and also to kind of for that bromelain to activate the curcuminoids. So we say, okay, we need a pineapple that is higher in acid, lower in sweetness, because we don't necessarily want everything to just be about, always about sweetness and palatability. We want it to be more about function. So we look for a high acid pineapple juice, which in this case comes from Sri Lanka, right? And then then we send everything to our factory in Bangkok. And that's part of what my job consists of, is traveling to these different places, and we don't use an ingredient unless we visited the people who are growing it. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of so far it's like, I think of it as kind of a big shop. It's like the earth is the market, and so we go to the places that we need for the ingredients that we're looking for at the moment.
That's amazing. So I can really see, I know when we were first talking many months ago offline, one of the things you mentioned is you're big on relationships, and I can see why that is. It's like you're looking at the context, not just like, hey, and I'm not knocking the other way of doing it, which is like, hey, we have to source based on price first and maybe quality second. You're looking not just at quality, but you're looking at the context and saying, hey, along with the economics and the politics around it, it's like, hey, how can I do this in a way that is mutual? Am I saying it correctly?
Absolutely.
That is mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. We have this kind of philosophy of what we call reciprocity, meaning it has to work. It has to work on both ends. The transaction has to work on both ends. Like, for example, we want to buy products from people that that love what they do. It's that simple, right? Because people who are happy spending their days in nature, growing beautiful ingredients, and then earning a fair price for doing that, we find that these are oftentimes the people who are going to go to the length to have their products, certified organic, to have their products third-party lab tested, and to have a product that's consistent year over year, people that actually give a shit. And so that's really where our most of our kind of sourcing practices will really start and stop with, number one, is it organic? If it's not organic, we don't pursue anything further. Number two, we look at kind of geographic. There are certain places, there are certain countries around the world that we kind of choose not to source ingredients from. So we kind of have a what we call a stoplight list, kind of the red, green, yellow. So we look for where are the places that we can consistently get the best quality ingredients, where the trade relationships are solid. We're not going to have to worry about product interruptions due to any kind of this was something that happened in in Sri Lanka a couple of years ago. There was a lot of unrest over there, and so that is an example of how something might, like, if we're making a product and we're buying pineapple juice from a place and then their whole country is in civil unrest, well, that's a problem. So we try to find the most consistent supply chains as possible that are also of the highest quality source from certified organic growers. And then on top of that, we make the effort to go meet them, because we find that being on a first name basis with people doing business is essential for us.
Love it. I love it. I want to maybe spin backwards a little bit. We've talked about so much amazing philosophy and how you're practicing that. I want to take it back to your audience for a minute. With this emphasis on, I think in your words, maybe this Ayurvedic importance of rehydration, of vitality, and all the mineral and supplemental benefits. How is your audience reflected, or vice versa? I know we talked once about yoga, and people that understand yoga, not practicing yoga because it's hip, but practicing yoga because they understand its benefits. How does that audience overlap with your product? I would guess, I think from what you said to me before, it's like, hey, it's a natural audience for you.
It's a perfect dovetail, I think, into, the three market segments that we've really kind of identified in the early days of our growth are yoga, number one, runners, marathon runners, people who just enjoy, and it doesn't have to be necessarily marathon runners, but people who just like running as a sport, which could include track and field, and golf. All three are very simple games and activities that can oftentimes be practiced outside, and so there's kind of that whole natural component to it. But I think also coconut water has already been a part of the conversation in most yoga communities in America. I think that because coconut water kind of does come out of the Ayurvedic tradition, and so too does yoga, they kind of both emerged from a similar place geographically. And so I think that is probably one unique reason why yoga works well for us. Another, we have a great, we've been working on a couple partnerships with some great yoga brands, and we found that especially hot yoga, right, where what's happening in hot yoga is you're sweating so much, and so you're losing the electrolytes, and you're losing when we sweat, we're losing a lot of really important substrate from our body. And coconut water just has this naturally occurring, yes, it has naturally occurring electrolytes, but it also has naturally occurring sugars that replenish the muscles and the brain tissue preferably. And so it's actually, I think that coconut water is the best thing that you can drink after yoga. I don't think that there's anything better. Maybe you could add a little bit of salt to it and just make it perfect. But the rehydration of muscles and brain tissue, in addition to getting naturally occurring electrolytes, is just sort of the perfect add-on to yoga. So we've had some success in the yoga community. And I think that that's definitely something that we're going to continue focusing on, working with yoga brands throughout the United States, just to make sure that people have the proper nutrition when they get out of class. Because I think water doesn't quite cut it. And then, shelf-stable coconut water is well-intentioned, but it just doesn't have the bioactivity to actually do what it says it's going to do.
I mean, with my background and growing up in India, and from your travels in Asia, Scotch is a big thing, right? In that part of the world.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I would love to see that Scotch thinking in the minds of people who are drinking coconut water. It's like, you will be hard pressed to find a South Asian that is going to tell you that they love blended Scotch, right? They'll drink it, but it's like, single malt, buddy. I drink single malts, right?
Yeah.
And, I feel like that's a large unknown that I learned from you, is that most of the damn coconut water you're drinking is not a single sourced coconut water, which is a major difference with Ra, is that it is single sourced as opposed to a blend. And people do not even have any concept of that.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's the wider point is that this is part of what we want. Part of our value is we want to just simply begin by educating our people, right? And so there are some dirty little tricks that happen all throughout the food industry, but in the coconut water game, the dirty little tricks that happen are heat pasteurization to create shelf stability and blending of coconuts, both in terms of the different maturities of coconuts and different varieties of coconuts. So as I said earlier, the young coconut is kind of the prized product, right? Highest in electrolytes, highest in antioxidants, best taste. And then over time, what happens is the young coconuts, the sweetness and kind of all of the sweetness kind of moves from the water into the flesh of the coconut. So as the coconuts stay on the tree, the coconut meat begins to expand and the coconut water begins to decrease. And then the mature coconuts are used for coconut meat, harvesting coconut meat instead of harvesting coconut water. And so they're a lot cheaper. And so what a lot of these coconut water companies will do is they'll say, okay, give us 60% of the young coconuts so that we can get all the sweetness and all the good taste and everything. And then give us 40% of the cheap stuff. And then they blend that together. And that's one use case. Another use case is, okay, let's get some of the prime Namham coconut water from Thailand, and then let's mix that with some coconuts from, I don't know, Brazil or the Philippines or somewhere else that is not considered kind of a prime territory like the Namham coconut, for example. And then let's blend that. Oftentimes it's just as a means of saving money. So you have companies that are optimized for one thing and one thing only, which is how do we deliver coconut water, make it stay on the shelf as long as possible, and make it as cheap as possible so that we can make the most money. And so our thought is just sort of reversed. How do we get the product to the customer in the best possible in the best possible quality, and then from there, how do we make the best products that we can so that we can worry about becoming profitable as a company by offering the best quality products instead of by cheating the customers?
I mean, I know these are not your words, but it really is an artisanal approach. It's like
100%.
I'm gonna put out the best product I can and let the price settle where it settles. That's amazing. A question that I've been thinking about for you, which this is a classic founder question, but how do you take care of yourself?
How do I take care of myself?
Yeah, it's like how do you keep Jordan, nourished and excited about spiritually, with physically, all of that stuff, especially with all the travel.
Yeah, the travel is kind of both a gift and a curse. I mean, the travel is kind of what on one hand keeps me alive, but then on the other hand, the travel can it's hard to maintain kind of consistent health and wellness on the road all the time. So I would say my practices are yoga, and walking in nature, spending time with my dog. And I do a lot of I try to keep my nutrition very simple. And so when I'm not in Asia, when I'm not on the road, I typically will be eating something like kind of low carb, high protein diet, and just trying to keep life fairly simple. When I'm here, I'm focused on work. I'm focused on, again, trying to just create beautiful partnerships with people that we have fun doing business with, and then just thinking about what's next. And so I would say that the last 4 years since I've been kind of building this company has been a constant kind of turning of the page. Okay, I'm in America. We're working on all of the America things, and then when I go over to Asia, and there's a whole separate piece of the value chain that has to be addressed there. For example, here's an interesting point just about Thai people. Something that I've found, which I just adore. Kind of funny story. Thai people don't do business with people that they don't like. It doesn't matter how much money's on the table. It doesn't matter what kind of business opportunity you have. They need to feel connected to you in order to do business. And so, in order for us to do business in Thailand, for example, we have to have we work with somebody who's Thai on the Thailand side, just to kind of keep everything balanced. And so we have an interpreter, and we have everything on the Thai side has to be buttoned up and legit, right? So we have an exporter over there. We have a whole bunch of different manufacturers that we work with. We have a bunch of different farmers that we work with. We have a whole team over there. And so part of me going over there is to show face and to show them that we're still here. And so getting back to the idea of balance, for me, it's I have 1 foot in America and I have 1 foot in Thailand. And so my process of staying balanced is really just about trying to be where I am, number one, trying to eat healthy and stay balanced, and then trying to think about what's next.
I love it. I mean, that, and it really does make sense, right? I mean, beyond the kind of traditional value of those decisions, it's like, hey, we don't like you because that's the way we've done it. But even if you've never done it that way, it's like, why the fuck would you want to work with someone you don't like? Mm-hmm. I mean, at least for guys like us, maybe. I don't say that very often, but we've gotten to know each other a little bit, and it's like, life's too short, I gotta say though, one guy that I gotta connect you with, who I've become friends with from having on this podcast, is his name is Dr. Jamba Dunn, and he's very much like you, a philosopher and a traveler. He's the founder of Rowdy Mermaid.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys have a lot of similar beliefs in life. I'll be sure to connect you guys, and a shout out to him. Cool. But thanks for sharing so much of your time with me today, and your philosophy. And I know that people are keen to hear about this. Let's make sure we talk about where people can find your product.
Yeah. Thanks. So right now we're focused mostly on the Southern California market in terms of our retail presence. We're working with Core Power Yoga. We're available in 41 stores in Southern California, and we're available online, drinkraw.com. RA is the spelling. drinkraw.com, and our social is @Ra Beverages.
Awesome. And let's all check it out. Everyone that's listening, I have, and it is a mind bender in terms of quality. It is so good, and it's available via e-commerce, so we can all get it. And also, it'll make you very happy. So thank you, Jordan, again for being on the show, and thank you for making the world better. And pursuing what I'm sure is a rigorous and challenging journey to follow not only your dreams, but make all of our lives better. And, I know as leaders, we don't get thanked enough. So that's my thanks to you today. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Duncan. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Great to talk.
We've been chatting with Jordan Russell, the founder of Ra. And it has been a wonderful time today. And at Firebelly, social show, we focus on founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. We think that that is the best part of food and beverage. We're making the world better as we eat and drink. And you've been listening to another episode of the Firebelly Social Show. I'm your host, Duncan. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Jordan.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.